Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Starr and this is my channel Not Bad Films. I make videos about music and today I am doing a conversation with Madhuvanti, who is a Rudra Veena player. And I think the big question a lot of people who are going to watch this might have is, what is a Rudra Veena? So Madhuvanti, I toss that question to you. What is this instrument?
So Rudra Veena is the most ancient stringed instrument from India. And from then it has gone through some modifications in every generations, but it has still retained its shape and most of the basic qualities. And it's said that this Veena has given most of the stringed instruments that we hear today many things like the tuning and the playing techniques and many other things. And Sitar, Surbahar, all these instruments are somehow or the other related to this instrument.
Now, I think like the first thing I thought when I saw a video many years ago and was first exposed to seeing it and hearing it was, wow, it's really big.
Yeah.
Yeah. How big is this instrument overall, would you say, roughly?
It cannot be said roughly because every instrument will be different. Rudra Veena has to be always customized according to the player's body. So usually it's 11 to 12 Rudras. Rudra is this measurement.
This sort of like palm to the tip of the thumb?
Yeah. So usually that's about the length of the player.
All right. So it's about as big as a person's tall?
Yes.
And so actually I have a quick question about that then. So when I think about like a guitar, you know, there's sort of a set standard size of a guitar. There's variations within scale lengths, but you know, they're between 24 and 25 and a half inch scale length for the string. And that can change how that guitar feels a lot depending on that change in scale length. So I would imagine that customization of the instrument to the player really changes how it feels when you play it, but also it must change its tone quite a bit. Yes?
Yes, definitely. So everyone's Veena will have a different quality of sound, and everyone's Veena will have a different feel to it. So if this Veena is made for me, someone else cannot feel comfortable playing it because it's according to my body, right? If someone who is shorter or taller than me or even bigger than me, they will never be comfortable playing this instrument. And so some people tried standardizing the Rudra Veena, and they are never that comfortable to play.
Now you have your instrument with you, correct? At your right at your lap there. Now,
not in my lap. It's on the floor.
Yeah, to crush you. Can you just briefly sort of talk about or point out some of the key characteristics of the instrument, whether it's maybe the, you know, I don't know, just go from one end down to the other and just sort of point out some of the main sort of construction points?
I can try.
Okay.
This instrument is so big, it won't fit into one frame, but I will try. So on this end, we have the peacock. There is a main bridge on the top and two bridges like this on both the sides.
Okay.
And then this long thing, this is the dundee, and there are two gourds on the dundee.
Okay.
On the top of the dundee, we have frets. This is a different kind of fret system. This is not the traditional frets that we used to have on Rudra Veena.
Yeah.
And on this side, we have something, this is called either the sharab or the sheshnag or the vasuki, and some people also refer to this as the dragon head these days.
Okay, the dragon head?
And yeah, because it looks kind of also like a dragon head.
Sure.
And there are four main strings.
Okay.
On traditional Rudra Veenas, there used to be two chikaris. We have three chikaris, and there is a unique thing on the Rudra Veena. We have a bass chikari, which is called the laraj.
And is that, which one is that? Is that the one that's sort of facing away from you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now when do you, so I've been watching you play. I'm watching a lot of videos of you play, right? And I see a lot of times that string is sort of underneath your palm, sort of I guess being muted because it's not being used. When do you use that string?
We don't use it that often anymore. So the laraj, it's not always just for playing. So earlier, the veena this dandi was made out of bamboo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are 3 chikaris towards me in my side.
Yeah.
So to counter that tension from the other side, there was this laraj. Otherwise, the veena will start bending in one direction.
Yeah.
And in traditional style veenas, when they played like this, they could play the laraj like this.
Oh, okay.
With the pinky, how Asad Ali Khan plays. And when we play, we can play with our thumbs. We can also play like this, but we don't use this that often anymore.
Got it. And
once in a while, if it's needed.
Sure. Do you wear a mizrab then on your
no,
hand? No, it's just your bare fingers.
Bare fingers with little bit of nail.
Little nail, okay. And then one of the things I noticed that's probably different than sitar is it looks like you're using then your pinkies and other fingers maybe for your chikari strings. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we play with all 10 fingers.
Okay.
So on this hand, these 2 fingers, they lead, and this is for the chikari. And this finger, this is used for different purposes.
Okay.
And then we have certain strokes that come with the thumb also. Like the pushpa stroke, it can be done with the thumb or also from this joint here.
Got it.
And we pull with all these 3 fingers on the left hand, and then for the laraj, this finger and also this finger. So all 10.
Got it. And in terms of the string configuration, are your lower strings closer to you, or are your lower strings further away from you? What's that?
Further away. It's the reverse of how sitar strings are arranged. So we have the main string, the bad string up on the top, then the judi, then the pancham, and then the kharaj towards the lower side.
Got it. And what's the reasoning for that? Is it just because of the bending that's required, or
the bending?
Is it also to sort of, when you're on your main playing string, your hand is able to sort of deaden the other strings underneath to keep them?
Yes, that is also there. That is also there. Because on veena, we don't want any other unnecessary strings to ring, because that will disrupt the sur and the shruti.
Okay.
That's why we don't have any tarafs on.
There's no sympathetic strings on it, right?
No.
Now, so then my next question then about that would be your bridge, the jawari on that. Is that relatively closed then, or how is that shaped?
It's shaped. There are many different ways of having the bridge. So usually the traditional bridges will have what we call a step jawari. There will be 4 steps for each string.
Oh, okay.
But I don't use that step jawari. And the jawari, it's basically up to the artist. So if you listen to all the traditional veena players, say like Asad Ali Khan or Dabir Khan or Sadiq Ali Khan or Jyoti Hegde, their jawari is more on the open side. And in the Dagar style veenas, if you listen to Bade Ustad and then Bahauddin Dagar, their jawari is little bit more closed. Mm-hmm. I kind of like a more balanced kind of a jawari. It's neither too open nor too closed. And it all depends on what kind of a sound you want to have and what kind of a sound suits your veena. So on my veena, if I close my jawari too much, I won't be able to play anything after that.
Yeah.
Or if I open too much, it will sound awful.
and for anyone who doesn't know, open versus closed on the jawari is how much sort of buzz you're getting from your strings.
Yeah.
And those additional sort of harmonics that come out as a result of that. And it does the sustain on your instrument seems to be also quite long. And what are some of the main things that like affect that? Is that the bridge, or is it more the mass of the instrument, or how hollow it is? Like, what are some I know that we don't want to go super
All
technical.
of the above.
All of the above. Okay. Yeah.
So see, usually all the Daggar Veenas, they are much longer than my instrument because all the Daggar Veena players are usually men.
Okay.
So I could not handle that big of an instrument. So I had to shrink my instrument down, but still I wanted to have that long sustain. So I just increased the hollow inside the dundee and the peacock. By doing that, I still got that long sustain and deep sound, but with a much smaller instrument.
Got it. And that's really comes back to that aspect of the instrument really being designed for the player, for your size, and then modifying it to bring out those tones that may change by changing the scale of the instrument. So it's very complicated.
It is. It's not like Western music at all.
No, it's not something, like you can go into most music stores and you can buy a guitar or a violin or, but I assume that there's not a lot of places where you're just going to walk in and pick up a Rudra Veena.
No.
So I guess then
most music shops will not have Rudra Veena on the shelf, and even if there is a Rudra Veena on the shelf, you should not buy that
because it's got to fit you.
Yeah.
Yes. When we had sort of a brief conversation earlier this week in prepping for this interview, and one of the things I think you mentioned there was how the instrument's a real extension of your body, of the player. I assume that's that size of the instrument, it's the way it's connected to your own size is a big part of that. Yes?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's also said that like every other instrument, you hold the instrument, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to wear the Rudra Veena on your body, like a piece of clothing or something like that. And you cannot play the Veena just with your hands. Your entire body has to be involved in that playing. So even the legs, they get involved, the head, the body. We have to control our breathing because everything affects the sound, everything affects the sur.
For those who don't know, when you say it affects the sur, can you sort of define what that means?
So Rudra Veena was never seen as just a musical instrument. It's an instrument where we measure all the notes and all the placements of the notes in every rag, and their swarasthans and all the shrutis and all those kind of things.
You're saying that like the instrument itself is used to measure sort of the divisions of the notes themselves.
Yeah.
And I'll try to translate this into sort of Western music a bit. So if we're looking at sa on your instrument, and that's the first note of your scale, let's say. So looking at where the octave is, and then where that middle note is, and all those divisions from there. Additionally, when you're thinking of how the Rudra Veena is built and played, that sort of purity of pitch that's a major part of it. Yes.
Yes. So the purity of pitch, that is what is measured on this instrument. So that's why it was never considered just like an instrument. It's an instrument of measurement. It's not it's a yantra basically.
Yeah, because when I think about like Western music, whether it's a guitar or a piano, everything's gone through temperament to sort of make that instrument play with other instruments in a band, so that the chords and the everything sort of works together, which means that everything is sort of out of tune a little bit to make it sort of be in tune. But on this instrument, it's just pure
Exactly.
all the way through.
Yeah, so we don't play in tempered scale at all. And we are not trying to make it a little bit out of tune to suit somewhere else. So that purity of that sur, exact position where that sur should be in this certain rag, that is what we are always trying to measure.
Got it.
So because of that, we all the subtle details of sur and their shrutis and their movements, they are very clearly visible on this instrument.
Yeah. For those who don't know, when you say the shruti, and I'm going to try to define this, you tell me if I've got it correct. That is sort of like the if you have a note, it's the range below and above that note that's still that note before it turns into the next note, correct?
Yeah, kind of, but it's not just that.
Okay.
There are so many other aspects to shrutis.
Sure.
So shruti, how we define, is the lowest difference in a pitch that is audible to human ears, and it can occur in many different ways.
Okay.
Something that is very useful to us is just by moving our body or by moving the instrument, and there are certain rules to that. We can change the shruti. By moving the fingertips, adjusting the fingertips, we can change the pitch. And then by also breathing, changing the way we are breathing, we can change that.
Yeah.
There are different ways that the shruti can occur, and sometimes it's just very static. Sometimes it's in a flow and it's moving all around you. And this second one is what I like the most.
Yeah, I like, you know, I've said this before, like I'm just this student that's like struggling to try to understand even just fundamentals of Indian music, right? And but this concept of the shruti and the note, and it's that sort of fluidness, that oscillation, or that I don't know, that quality of it coming in and moving through, and it's yet at the same time also it's just straight on. That's something that I've been really fascinated with recently, because there's so much to explore there and so many questions to ask.
Yeah, so the possibilities of shrutis are basically infinite, and because there are infinite possibilities, the possibility of questions are also infinite.
Yes. Well, we'll move on so we don't get too far down the rabbit hole. What is, I guess, its base sort of key? You know, like, what is your saw? Is that, you know, like on my sitar, my saw is tuned to D in Western music. Where does your instrument,
my Veenas are tuned in the key of G.
G, okay.
But every instrument will not be tuned in G. Some instruments will be tuned a little higher, so maybe G sharp, maybe A also. Some instruments will be tuned a little lower, so maybe F sharp, F, E. So traditionally, all the old traditional Rudra Veenas were tuned to E.
To E, okay.
Yeah, so when Badosar developed the Raga style Veena, he put much thicker strings on and tuned it much higher to the pitch, which all of us, we kind of use these days.
And the G that you're tuned to, because you're playing with your instrument, your heart, let's say, it doesn't need to be like a Western G, like you play on a piano.
No,
it can be
wherever
that G is that you define it to be, and then all your frets divided out from there. Correct?
Yeah, kind of. So sometimes we are in between G and G sharp, or in between G and F sharp, because how the weather also changes, or how our body is on a certain day. According to that, also we have to adjust the tuning a little bit. Also, depending on the rag that we are playing, according to that, we have to change the tuning a little bit. And then, even if the instrument is tuned to 440 hertz and in G, in the key of G, suppose if I'm playing a rag like Abhogi, my sa is going to become a little lower. If I'm playing a rag like Todi, for example, the sa is going to be a little higher.
Got it.
Even though it's in G.
Yeah.
Because the shruti of sa is not static, unlike how, no matter how the popular belief is that sa is static, sa and pa are static, but they are not. In every rag, sa will also have its own swarasthan. So Abhogi, for example, the sa is very low. In Todi, the sa is a little bit on the higher side. So that will also change raga to raga.
And trying to sort of like compare that or digest that. And this is maybe not a good example, so you correct me if I'm way off, but that sort of a little bit reminds me of Arabic Maquam music, where
No.
Okay.
It's not like that.
All right. So why is it not like that?
So in Maquam music, all those notes are in a way defined.
Okay.
But here it's not defined ever. It's going to change every day. It's going to change with the weather. It's going to change with how the player's body and mind is at that certain time. And according to the rag also, it will change a little bit. So may say, for example, in a rag, the ray is very high.
Mm-hmm.
How much high that ray should be, it's not really defined. There is no way we can define that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are ways we can find, so if it's this much high, it's going to be Jayajavanti. If it's that much high, it's going to be some other rag.
Okay.
So all the Kannada rays will be around in this region. All the Malhar rays will be around in this region. But within that, where exactly, that will also vary artist to artist.
Okay.
Because it's not set like a piano key. Ever.
Yeah. There's a lot I'm like trying to absorb as all this as best I can. Now, so you learned how to then build these instruments. You went and studied that. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience, what that was like?
Yeah. So the first Rudra Veena I got made, that was awful. Mm-hmm. That was one of those more standardized instruments and costed me a lot of money. And I was still very young. I could not afford another Rudra Veena.
Yeah.
So we found this guy. He was a student of Bare Ustad's father. So Ziauddin Dagar or Ziauddin Khan's student, Pandit Rajshekhar Vyas. He passed away recently. And he could teach how to make the Rudra Veena. So because I could not afford to buy another new one, I went to him and asked if he would teach me how to make the Rudra Veena, because making it myself would be a hell lot cheaper.
Yeah. And I would assume that as your instrument needs repair and maintenance over the years, that's probably a really helpful set of skills to have.
Yes, definitely. I do my own Javari all the time, and it also helps me get good quality instruments made for my students. Because I know exactly what they might need. And
got it, yeah.
That's much more easier to modify their instruments according to their body and their needs and their kind of music that they want to play.
Now, how long did you study that for then? Was this like you went for a weekend, or were you there for like months? Or
No. Almost a month.
Almost a month, okay. And yeah. I mean, cutting wood and carving things out, like building from scratch, yeah?
No, I built that Veena out of bamboo. So cutting bamboo, cutting wood also, making this fretting system, and learning everything, working with hand. And I had no such experience. So that was not easy.
Yeah, I imagine like, I'm not a very I can do a few things around the house, but I'm not going to build an instrument. So I would imagine there's a big learning curve to that, to just jump in and.
Yes. But I had no other option. I wanted to play the Veena. I could not afford another good one. And that Veena, my first Veena, I could not play on that instrument. So I had no other option really.
I want to let everyone know too, if you want to learn more about how these instruments are made, Madhuvanti, you have a series of 4 or 5 videos, I think, on your YouTube channel that's going into all the details about building them and the various different types of construction.
Yeah.
I found those really awesome. And so I recommend.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought that was really great. So if people want to learn more about the details, definitely watch those, because you go into a lot more depth there.
Yeah.
Now, when you first started learning music as a young kid, You originally started playing violin, is that correct?
No, I started with singing.
Oh.
I started with khayal.
Okay. And then,
But then what happened was I could not relate to the lyrics. And I knew that, okay, singing is not, even though I had a good voice back then,
yeah.
I knew that singing is not for me. And then I switched to violin. And then it went on.
Now, you were a student of the sitarist Mita Nag, correct? Is that?
Yes.
And did you ever study sitar with her, or did you just study music with her?
No, I never studied sitar like so-called in a very typical way.
Sure.
Because I started learning violin. When I went to her, I was pretty much proficient with the violin.
Okay.
So she would play on the sitar and I would copy that on the violin. And then I was anyways very much interested in the Dhrupad Baj. And her grandfather, Shongitacharya Gokul Nag, was a Rudra Veena player.
Okay.
Her father, Padma Shri Pandit Manilal Nag, he played the Surbahar. And the entire family is known for sort of like playing the Dhrupad Baj on their instruments. And I was always fascinated with that. Those qualities I could never play on the violin. And there was this thing like, so there is no way I'm going to be able to learn Rudra Veena. And one day we were having this discussion and she said, so Annapurna Devi, she played the Surbahar beautifully. So why don't you try Rudra Veena? If you really want to play Dhrupad, why don't you play the mother of all instruments? And I was like, who will teach me? Will you teach me? She was like, yeah, I will teach you. No problem. And basically with her encouragement, I started playing the Rudra Veena.
I really like that. Now, what was it? So you started with Kayal singing, but you wanted to learn Dhrupad. So I guess first question is, what is Dhrupad? And am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Dhrupad, again, it traces its origin back to the Samveda. So the Samagan, then the Chandagan and Prabandhagan, all these accumulated together into the Raga music and became this most ancient form of Indian classical music that we know as Dhrupad. So it has a very long alap, which is divided into sections. And then there is a composition, which has 4 parts, usually. There can be also of 2 parts. But the entire music, apart from just the composition part, the entire thing is improvised. And it was never meant for entertainment. It was always meant for spiritual growth, and it was always meant for, in a way, for Nad Yoga, for getting connected to that ultimate truth of life.
And so would you say that and I'm overly simplifying, but it's a much more meditative approach to music, and so
it is meditative. That's one of the greatest qualities of Dhrupad, and that's one of the greatest qualities of Rudra Veena. It's never going to be so fancy like pop music and you feel like dancing. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
and another good quality it has, so many people, if they're stressed or they're in anxiety, they get so relaxed that many people, they just fall asleep. And it's somehow seen as a bad thing, but is it really a bad thing?
No, I don't. I actually, there's Panna Ravi Shankar tells this story in his autobiography of performing this in a lop, and everyone falls asleep, and that's such a great thing, but that his Western audiences, they don't understand that, and
no, they do, they really do. I don't believe that Western audience don't believe that, because I also have a lot of audience in the West.
Well, I mean, that's the thing I like so much about it is Dhrupad music or performances, is that quality of the pacing of it is so calm and relaxing, but it really feels like there's a lot of time spent exploring each phase of the alap.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
you know, there's no rush to get through it in a sense.
No.
So it can be very rewarding when you do get all the way through it, even more so because you've spent so much time to get there.
Yeah.
So I think I know the answer to this, but just to get it on record, if someone wants to learn how to play this instrument, should they buy an instrument or should they find a teacher first?
So before finding the teacher, there is another step.
Okay.
First, they have to understand what style they want to play.
Mm.
So someone wants to play the traditional style Rudra Veena, and for a teacher, they approached Bahauddin Dagar or me.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. So first, identify the style that you want to follow. Then within that style, whoever are teaching, approach them. And then they will sort of tell you from where you should get the instrument made and how you should get the instrument made. Because all of us, we have a certain sound that we like. We have certain qualities of the instrument that we want. So it's better to always ask the guru for their recommendations from where they should get the instrument made. Because this happens, like, I get this kind of questions, like someone wants to learn and they have a traditional Rudra Veena and want to play my kind of music. It's not possible on a traditional Rudra Veena. Or someone has a Daga style Rudra Veena and they want to play like this. They will have a lot of pain.
Got it.
First, identify the style that someone is willing to learn and then approach the guru.
Got it.
And after that, get the instrument made.
Now, what would you say then are the two main styles that exist?
It's not two main styles. There are three styles.
Okay. Well, what are the three? See, I don't know anything. You have to teach me.
Yeah.
Madhuvanti, teach me.
So all the Rudra Veena, it comes from Khandarbani. Everything after Mistry Singh, some of the other styles got combined into that and rest of the styles evolved. So the first style that the authentic Khandarbani, which Asad Ali Khan used to play, which is almost obsolete now, unfortunately, was the traditional Rudra Veena. Then there is definitely Dagar style. So the Dagar style of Dhrupad singing combined with the Veena is Dagar style. And then the Seniya Gharana, the Gaurhar Bani or Tansen singing style, combined with that was the Seniya Gharana, and Bishnupur is an extension of that, where I come from.
Got it. Wait, so your audio cut out for a second. What was the name of the Gharana?
So the third one is Tansen's lineage.
Okay, Tansen.
The Gaurhar Bani, Tansen's lineage, the Gaurhar Bani. Dabir Khan was the last Veena player of that authentic Gaurhar Bani, and then Bishnupur Gharana was another of the Seniya families developed by Bahadur Khan or Bahadur Singh, and I belong to that Gharana. And I also learned in Daga style, so I'm kind of a hybrid between both.
A hybrid, sure.
Bishnupur.
Sure. So, I mean, it's a big instrument and it's customized to your size. So what age can someone start to learn?
So the youngest student I have, she started learning when she was 15.
15, okay.
And the oldest student on Veena that I have, she started playing when she was 60.
Okay. Now,
so there is no age barrier.
Now, your 15-year-old student, if she grows more, she'll need a new instrument though, right? Yeah.
So now she's about 18 years old and she grown a little taller and she has become much more stronger. So we have to make her a new instrument.
So the next sort of step is, okay, let's say someone really wants to learn to play this. They know their style, or they're still trying to just figure things out, but they want to take lessons. I know you teach. What is the best way for a person to contact you if they wanted to take lessons from you?
They can contact me on my website.
Okay.
And that's created by another one of my students, and he plays the Surbahar.
Okay.
Who also, I think you have heard him
Is that
play.
Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he designed this website so that students can easily find me.
Got it.
And they can either write there or they can contact me over Instagram or Facebook or, yeah.
Okay. So I got introduced to you by YouTube, and you came up as some recommended video, and I like Rudra Veena, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I listened to it, and then I listened to a bunch of your performances, and they're all really well done. They're the sound quality is great, and image quality is very nice, but then the playing is, of course, the big thing, and I think you play really fantastic. And
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to listen to you. What inspired you, though, to decide to put performances on YouTube and sort of give concerts in a way online for that people could watch?
There were many things, basically. So still, Rudra Veena is a very male-dominated instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entire field of Dhrupad and Indian classical music, it's still dominated by men.
Mm.
Because of all these reasons, there is no way, no matter how good a woman instrumentalist might be, they have very less opportunity to perform on stage.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of a way of rebelling against that. And I was like, okay, so I don't need a stage anymore. We have YouTube. I'll just put there. And if people wants to listen, they will anyways listen.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when the lockdown happened last year, someone challenged me.
Mm.
Someone, definitely man, because they thought it's impossible for a Rudra Veena player to record on a daily basis for 21 days. And it was a challenge, thinking that I will fail horribly.
And then how did that go? You got a good reception to that? I've seen one of your videos.
Yes.
Has quite a 27,000 views or something, right?
Yeah. So I all those videos were very well received, and that actually inspired me to become a little bit more serious about YouTube.
Ah, okay.
Because before that, it was nothing that serious actually. So, and then all these things happened, and there is nowhere to perform because of COVID. So why not perform on YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, personally, as someone who gets to listen, thank you, because otherwise I would have never been able to hear all this music. What are sort of those then future goals for you as a performer and YouTuber, and with lockdowns and all that stuff, sort of in the situation, not being able to perform live? What do you sort of see as the future for yourself as a musician or as a teacher?
What has helped me during this lockdown is teaching.
Mm.
That's what kept me going, and that's what kept me motivated during all these hard times. So yeah, I definitely want to teach a lot more people, because why Rudra Veena kind of got obsolete was also because many of the teachers, they denied teaching students.
Mm.
And that's still a problem for many students. They approach someone and they just say, no, I don't want to teach you. So my motive is basically like, I'm not going to deny anyone. If anyone wants to learn, everyone is welcome.
Yeah.
Maybe next year or next to next year, when this COVID situation is a little bit over, I might go on a world tour and perform small concerts here and there.
So you mentioned a bit about how Dhrupad and Rudra Veena is very male dominated, and I assume instrument making is also probably very male dominated.
Yeah.
How has that been as a woman, sort of in the space of Indian classical music? I know, like, there's been a lot of harsh realities of that sort of coming into the news in the last year, with MeToo and all these things. What's sort of your experience been as a woman?
Yeah, so this is not something new, actually. This has been happening throughout the generations. All those senior musicians, they are also senior women musicians, whether they're singers or instrumentalists. They are also sharing that their experience has not been any different from what we are experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we have this acceptance more and the society is more open. We can freely talk about these things. That's why these things are coming out more openly nowadays. But this has been present throughout generations.
Yeah.
I'm actually, in a way, also lucky because my primary guru has always been a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I was safe in a way because of that also.
Yeah. And that would be Vidisha Mita Nag, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Vidusha Mita Nag.
And she still would be your guru, would you say then?
She's still my guru. I'm still studying under her.
As sort of people are becoming more aware about how this sexual harassment and these other things have been going on for such a long time, how do you view that as a challenge, or how that will change the guru-disciple relationship going forward?
The moment we think of someone as a guru, we kind of forget that they're also human beings.
Mm-hmm.
We just make them sit on a pedestal, and then we just start. We kind of close my eyes, and we don't look at their mistakes anymore. That needs to stop. If someone is doing something wrong, which is making you uncomfortable, maybe he's not the right guru for you. Maybe you should go to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Being devoted to your guru is very important. But if that relationship itself is getting abused, then there is no, it's like an abusive relationship, no?
Yeah. I think.
Would you be in a toxic and abusive relationship?
Yeah, it's not hard. It's
the
hard
same thing here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it's going to be hard, but then we have to be strong also. There is no other way.
Do you think that there's a I'm trying to think what the right word is, but to leave your guru and to try to go somewhere else and find a new guru to teach you, do you feel that that's sort of a hard thing for people to do, or for that new guru to take you on because they don't know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's very hard. And see, even though if the guru has done something terrible, but their teachings, they don't become false, right? All the music that they have shared, all the knowledge that they have shared, they're still true. Outside of music, they're doing something which is very wrong, but the knowledge that they're sharing is still pure knowledge. Maybe because there is a toxic situation which is getting built up there, so you need to get out of there. But that does not mean that you have to deny that teaching, no?
Yeah, I think
it's not possible.
I think that's what makes it so tragic and so
complicated,
horrible in a way, is that that information, which may be very valid and well taught and well understood, is so tainted by other traumas that someone may have had to endure.
Yeah.
Now, for yourself, have there ever been moments in your time as a student or someone learning the music, your journey, where you just felt like stopping or wanting to give up, or any major setbacks that you had to endure?
There were many such things, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I was never sexually harassed by my gurus. But apart from sexual harassment, as a woman musician, as a woman instrumentalist, and as a woman Rudra Veena player, there are different other challenges that we have to face, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most other Rudra Veena players are almost double of my age. So to be considered as a good musician, sort of, in this instrument, you have to first become very old.
Sure.
Otherwise, you are no good. So those kind of things, those are frustrating because no matter how good maybe you are, sometimes there will always be these kind of people who will discourage you so badly.
Yeah.
No matter how good you play, they will criticize something which is just not fair.
Mm-hmm.
So my body is different, my instrument is different. Why don't I sound like someone else? Why should I sound like someone else?
Yeah.
If I'm not sounding like someone else, then I'm not playing the authentic Veena.
Mm.
That's actually more disheartening for me.
Do you feel like you have to prove yourself all the time to be taken?
Yeah,
legitimately?
definitely.
Yeah.
All the time, it's like someone, even if a man underperforms in the same concert, they can get away with it so much more easily. And even if they perform very well, just one small mistake, people will just point out that and poke that a lot. And
Yeah.
because everything is improvised, there can be just a hand slip once in a while. So if it's a man, they might just overlook that. On my hands, they will always point out, you missed a misjab there.
Do you think that this will change in the future? Do you think that women who are trying to be musicians and learn and have gurus, do you think that this level of harassment or invalidation, do you see that changing in any short term?
Yes,
future?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I see that changing, and we are moving towards a much more positive future for sure. Because previously, when I was a young kid and wanted to learn Rudra Veena, most of the people, they said, no, we don't teach women. We don't teach without this certain kind of backgrounds and this and that. But then now people accept students more. Because I was rejected by so many people, I have this motto that I won't reject anyone. Women never knew that they could speak up and their voices will be heard.
Yeah.
Now, for a fact, we know that our voices will be heard. So, because of all this MeToo movement, more women are now aware of these things. And it's not normal anymore. Previously, people would try to make these things seem normal in a way.
Yeah.
But now they know that, okay, this is wrong and this should not be happening.
I was going to say, do you think that the male performers or teachers who've abused the system in a way, who've taken advantage over time, do you think they'll face any sort of punishment, or they'll see less bookings for concerts, or do you think that that'll be overlooked?
I think this bookings for concerts and all these things will be overlooked.
Yeah.
But the students who start learning, they will be more aware of to whom to go to.
Yeah.
If I know that this guy is going to try to sexually abuse me, I will definitely not go to that guy, right? So I would choose someone who might not do that.
And now in the United States, like major celebrities here have their whole careers have been ruined and people have gone to jail and so forth. Do you think that's going to happen in India, in the Indian classical music scene? Or do you think that that's...
If that happens, that is the most ideal thing. It might take some time, but I also believe that there is a huge possibility that might happen. And I really want also that to happen.
Yeah.
To all of those who have abused their power and who have done, and it's not one or two people. There are so many hundreds of such people.
Yeah. You feel it's really pervasive in the whole industry.
Yeah. And it's not just this generation. It has been happening throughout the generations.
Sure. Well, I'm going to try to change topics to something a little more positive.
Yeah, that's nice. That will be so nice.
Let's talk a bit about your guru, Mita Nag. What has that experience been like? What are some of the things that she's taught you that go beyond just the instrument? Any sort of, I mean, I would imagine a very profound impact on your life, yes?
Yeah. So the basic thing that she has taught me is how to live a life, how to stay grounded, how to stay humble, and how not to bend your head, how to keep the head held high and be strong in difficult times as a woman. I think that's also what made the foundation in my belief that when we are trying to teach this music, we are not limited in a music. We are not trying to teach just the music. It's a philosophy. It's a lifestyle that we are trying to at least get you to understand.
Yeah.
That's totally, I learned that totally from her.
Hmm.
Even now, she lives a very humble and grounded life.
Wow.
And even though she's that big of an artist,
Yeah.
she's still like a very simple person.
Mm-hmm.
She's my guru, but she treats me like a younger sister, and she treats me like with all that care. And I call her my Didi, like elder sister.
Mm-hmm.
If she was not there, I might never become a Rudra Veena player.
Wow. Yeah.
I might never start teaching.
Mm.
If she was not there, I might not even be who I am today. So
Yeah.
the entire credit to my existence goes to Mita Di in a way.
It goes beyond just play these notes like this. It's
Yeah.
a much.
And she never asked me to copy her playing at all.
Mm.
She always encouraged me to play how I should play.
Mm.
She always guided me how things should be, but then she never asked me to copy exactly like her. She would give me the philosophy, she would give me all the materials
Yeah.
and the ingredients to cook a very nice dish, but then she will also write down the recipe, but I can give my own inputs in that and make the recipe my own.
Yeah, make it your own. That's fantastic. Can I be so bold to ask you to just play a little bit for people so they can hear what it sounds like?
Okay.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I know. So let me
fully aware
try.
that it's not an optimal, recording experience, but just so that people can hear a little bit and see a bit more of what we've been talking about.
Can you hear the Tanpura?
Yep.
I don't know how the balance is going to be on your side. Let me see. How is the balance?
That's good.
Tanpura?
That's good.
So which rag do you want to hear?
How about do you want to play some Raga Yaman?
Okay.
Is that all right? Wow. Wow. That was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. I selfishly picked Yaman because that's the one I know the most. So I wanted to sort of really absorb as much as possible. That was really great though. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Could you see those different Shrutis and movements?
Yes.
So let me point this out.
Yes.
Many people, there is this popular belief that you have to be very much trained to be able to even hear those things. The fact is, if done properly, everyone can hear those things. So you don't have to be very classically trained and all those things and a very big knowledgeable person of Indian music to understand or enjoy Rudra Veena. The small subtle differences you can anyways hear.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So most people, they kind of get intimidated by these popular beliefs. I just wanted to point that out.
No, I mean, I'm also watching you, and it's really apparent that you've put in a lot of hours practicing, because your control is just so, you have a lot of control.
But we cannot practice a lot on the Rudra Veena.
Yeah.
Because this instrument is so heavy and so big, 8 hours practice is impossible.
Sure.
The highest that I could ever go was probably 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
A day.
So do you practice a lot sort of vocally, or what's the focus then?
Either vocally or a lot of thinking about the music
Up
also.
here, sure.
So because on Veena, our tayari should not ever become the foreground thing.
Got it.
If we practice too much also, then our hands will kind of take over. We don't
sure.
want that on Veena.
Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying.
So we don't want to be able to play those fast dance, or we don't want to play a very fast jhala or things like that at all. Yeah.
Interesting. And is that because of the Dhrupad influence?
Dhrupad and spirituality, all those things together.
Okay.
It's a nice music, but it's not also meant for entertainment. No, we don't want your heart to get pumping. Get relaxed and calm down and forget your anxiety and things like that. So if I start playing a so fast jhala, your heartbeat will go fast.
Yes. But you do have a jhala movement, correct?
We have jhala.
Yes,
we have actually many different kinds of jhalas.
But it's just not it's just not as intensely fast as, let's say, on a sitar would be, or let's say.
Yeah. In a way, it should not be that intensely fast.
Okay.
So there are still some jhalas which are supposed to be a little faster, but usually it should not be very fast.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I've learned a ton of information, and I really appreciate you being so open about all the different topics we discussed. I know sometimes some people want to keep all the secrets and don't want to share them, and I feel like you've been very open about all the details, and if people want to learn more, they should take lessons from you. They should find you and get some lessons. Thank you very much. I have one last question.
Sure.
What is your favorite food?
In Bengal, we have a rice porridge called Fana bhat.
Okay.
Made out of very small grained rice.
Okay.
That rice is cooked and it's in a rice porridge kind of consistency. Little bit salt, little bit ghee. That's it.
Okay. Simple
That's
thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, thank you again. Is there anything I missed? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well,
and thank you for asking all these questions and bearing with me for all this long.
Oh, no.
Talking about all those serious stuffs.
I think people will really enjoy this interview. And I want to encourage people to obviously go to Madhuvanti's YouTube channel and subscribe, watch all her videos, and follow you on Facebook and Instagram as well, right? You said you have channels there?
Yeah.
Yes. And I'll put links for all that stuff below. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for having me, and I hope to see you again.
Yes.
Soon, sometime.
Yes. We should do a follow-up to this. All right. I'm gonna wave goodbye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Yes.
You are still in morning time. Yeah.
Yes.
Have a nice day.
Early afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. That's our interview.